Good morning, good morning, good morning. It is a beautiful day to do some math. It might not be morning for you, but it's morning for me. So anyway, let's talk math. So this lesson we're working on, we're doing large numbers and they are in problems. So we have to figure out how to solve problems even when numbers are quite large. So the very first question here, it says calculate, but also notice, I'm glad you're reading, it says you will need a calculator. So when you see these big numbers being multiplied, don't panic. You get to use a calculator this time. Hooray. And just in case you forgot how to use a calculator, boom, here's an example of one. And I won't do this number. I'll let you do it. But let's say my big numbers were 785. Okay, and they wanted me to multiply that with, I'll just write it like this. Let's say they said calculate 785 times 162. Okay, so the way you're going to do that on your calculator, of course, you punch in 785. Oh, whoops. Look at that. That's why you double check your work, right? Look at mine. Completely wrong. Erase it all. Boom. 785. Find the multiplication symbol. Boom. Type in the next number. 162. And that equals, boom, that big massive number. Now notice the way my calculator punched out this big number. There's no space between the periods. There's no comma. That makes it pretty hard to read. But now notice how that comma makes everything beautiful. 127,170. There we go. Perfect. And that's exactly how you are going to do these questions. Boom. Please remember to put a space in for your period, or at the very least, please use a comma. For question 2, it says estimate, show your work. Well, remember, estimate isn't exactly precise. It's going to be pretty darn close. And we estimate to save ourselves time. Because you're not always going to have access to a calculator, or more likely, you're not always going to have time to use a calculator. So this number right here, actually, you know what? I'll do my own sentence. Let's go 622 multiplied with 865. Okay. If I want to calculate this, I could use my calculator, but that takes some time. I could also carry out the math, but again, that takes some time. So let's estimate. Well, the way we estimate is by rounding. So I could round to any of these place values, but I want to make this nice and easy for myself. So I'm going to round to the nearest 100. So 622, I want to round to the nearest 100. Well, I look to the place value to the right. What's that 2 going to do to the 6? Will the 6 stay the same, or will it round up? Well, of course it's going to stay the same, because the 2 it's not a 5 or higher. If it was 5 or higher, it would bump the 6 up to 7. But since it's lower than 5, it stays at a 6. The other place values just turn into zeros. Easy. Now I'm using this nice 600. That's a nice round number, easy to use. Okay, I'll do the exact same thing with 865. Look to the right. What's that 6 making the 8 do? Well, 6 is greater than 5, so the 8 rounds up to a 9. 900 times 600. Now you might be screaming at your computer right now thinking, Lewis, that's impossible. 600 and 900, those are huge numbers. How do I multiply them? Well, here's the trick. You ready? What's 6 times 9? Because if you know what 6 times 9 is, you know what 600 times 900 is. Here's the trick. 6 times 9, that is 54. You might be thinking like, well, Lewis, I didn't know that off the top of my head. It's okay. You will by the end of the year. And if you didn't know it off the top of your head right now, that's okay. We can just count by 9s. 9, 18, 27, 36, 45. I'm sorry for my messy printing. It's tricky doing it with the mouse. 54, 63. Okay, let's have a look here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so this is 9 times 6, 54. There you go. Now you may be thinking 600 times 900, how could that be 54? It's way too small. And you're right. This is the trick part. You multiply just the easy whole numbers, 6 times 9, and you put your zeros behind whatever your answer is. So 1, 2, 3, 4 zeros. 1, 2, 3, 4. Ooh, there. Not very neat, but there you go. Now you might be thinking, Lewis, you didn't put a space for your period. You're right, I didn't. And it's because I'm just throwing the zeros down after whatever my answer was. But that's okay. That's why we have commas as well. So you start from the very right, count 1, 2, 3 place values, put your comma. And now it's easy to read. 600 times 900 is 540,000. So it's the exact process you're going to do with these numbers. You're going to have to round 512 to the nearest 100, round 984 to the nearest 100. Same thing for these. Make sure you rewrite your rounded numbers and show your multiplication. Don't use your calculator for the estimates, please. Number 3, Ahmed takes 11,730 steps on an average day. There are 365 days in a year. How many steps will Ahmed take in a year? Well, if he's stepping these many steps on an average day, and there's 365 days in a year, what we're saying is each day we're going this many steps. So we'd have to multiply these two values. Now, notice 11,730. Woof, that's a pretty big number. And we will be able to multiply that in our next unit when we're multiplying. But for now, you can use your calculator. So Merry Christmas. Punch that into your calculator, get the answer. Boom. Put it right there. Next, it says estimate to check your answer. So of course, we're going to round these numbers to a nice whole number that's easier to multiply. I recommend rounding to the nearest 1,000 and rounding to the nearest 100. Okay, so good luck with this. Happy rounding, happy estimating, and happy using your calculator. Enjoy it. Have fun, guys.